I know I haven't been uploading too much recently, and again, that's because I am busy with film classes and stuff. I'm also busy with work as of recent. And I know I haven't been uploading movie reviews, as I said I would like to take a break from movie reviews. And right now I'm focusing more on some TV show reviews. TV shows I haven't been reviewed yet, and I also am currently working on the My Favorite TV Shows of All Time video, which I haven't started yet, but I'm still working on it, and currently I'm trying to record some of it. But I heard that this special came along, so I decided to give my review about this. And for those of you who do not know, I am a Power Rangers fan. Like most of you, I grew up watching Power Rangers, even though I wasn't born in the 90s and was born in the 2000s. I watched Power Rangers when Power Rangers was at its prime on Jetix. I remember watching reruns of Mighty Morphin on Jetix. I remember rewatching some past seasons like Zeo, Turbo, and In Space. Even though Zeo and Turbo were not so good, Zeo was pretty enjoyable, was pretty decent. Turbo was not too good, but In Space was actually pretty amazing. And I really liked all the other seasons that have passed past the Zordon era of Power Rangers. And seeing some of the other seasons like Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, Wild Force, and with the Disney era seasons like Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder, SPD, and Jungle Fury, which are by far one of the best seasons and one of the most fan-favorite seasons of all time of Power Rangers. Power Rangers was just overall just around, and Power Rangers was one of the most important things that happened to my childhood. And when I heard that Mighty Morphin was going to get a 30-year anniversary reunion, I was hyped. And it sounded pretty promising. But I was kind of a bit skeptical because, well, I didn't really know what to expect. And Power Rangers has some issues with budget and some other issues. But with the help of Hasbro, I have some faith into it. And when I heard that David Yost wanted to write for this special and turn into a miniseries, and the production for this seemed to be pretty promising. It seemed to be really good. And when I first saw the teaser for it, I was hyped. A little bit back in time when I was a kid, I stopped watching Power Rangers during the Neo Saban era with the events of Samurai and Megaforce happening. I've seen a bit of Samurai and Megaforce, but I quickly stopped watching Power Rangers and moved on and decided to watch Lego Ninjago. Altogether, I stopped collecting the toys, I stopped playing the video games, and I just stopped watching the series altogether. But then COVID-19 happened, and I decided to rewatch some of the seasons of Power Rangers, and I also decided to watch some of the newer seasons of Power Rangers, mainly the Hasbro era of Power Rangers like Beast Morphers and Dino Fury, which they were overall by far really entertaining and enjoyable, and I thought that they were good at best. And when I first heard about the 30th reunion that was gonna happen, and when years later I see the trailer dropping, I was hyped. I was kind of hyped to see it, as I really wanted to see all the original cast returning, like Asa St. John, Amy Jo Johnson, J.C. David Frank, David Yost, Walter Emil Jones, and so many others, although sadly we couldn't get the actress who played Trini Kwan because the original actress who played Trini, Toy Trang, has sadly passed away back in 2001. I didn't expect this special to be so... how do I put this? I didn't expect it to be this emotional before, and yeah, I mean, from what I've heard from the synopsis of this special, I knew that Trini was gonna die as it was mentioned in the special, and I knew that Trini was also gonna have a daughter as it was mentioned for this synopsis. And seeing about how this plays out coming to life was actually pretty good. And I think that this special was just absolutely wonderful. I know that there were some people that didn't really enjoy this special, but hey, I thought that the special was overall really good. And the special overall does a really amazing job on basically bringing everything that we all know and love from Power Rangers, and also mentioning more about the lore of Power Rangers, about how this ties into this season or that season. We'll get into that later when we get there, but now I want to talk about the characters. We all have the original characters back. Well, we don't have the original actors back, like we don't have J.C. David Frank or Austin St. John or Amy Jo Johnson reprising their roles as their respective characters, but we did have Walter Jones and David Yost reprising their roles as their respective characters, Zach and Billy, and seeing them unmorphed and seeing both David Yost and Walter Jones again in this was actually pretty good. And I overall just really liked how they did a really amazing job with developing with these characters, and they feel like that they actually have matured ever since the 3 previous seasons of Power Rangers, and since the last time we've ever saw them. And seeing them being a mentor to Trini's daughter Ming was absolutely amazing. And much like how we see the 2 variants of Peter being a mentor to the MCU's Peter in No Way Home, here in this special, we see it like that. And they overall did a really amazing job with it, despite that there were some issues with it and everything like that. But, yeah. And what I also really like are the locations and everything surrounding it. Everything surrounding the locations feels like something from the 90s. And they did a really amazing job not making it too 90s type style, and just acknowledging the modern world and also acknowledging the lore of Power Rangers, even bringing consultants, aka fans, to help them to keep up with the continuity, which I really like. And yeah, although again, I'm kind of sad to see that Austin St. John, J.C. David Frank, and Amy Jo Johnson did not come back to reprise their roles as their respective characters, as they only reused archive footage, audio from the from past seasons into this. But hey, it was still pretty good to acknowledge Jason and Kimberly and Tommy again, despite not being them unmorphed and not having J.C. David Frank or Austin St. John or Amy Jo Johnson coming back. And for J.C. David Frank, I will talk about that later when we get there. Seeing the team at their downfall was just overall pretty sad, and was just so emotional. And seeing Zach and Billy not knowing what to do, what to tell Ming, Trini's daughter, whether or not to tell her the truth. Billy suggested to tell her the truth, but Zach didn't really want to tell her the truth, as of course they gotta keep their power secret. And as he said about Zordon, but Billy mentions that Zordon is no longer there anymore. And there is no Zordon. As we all know, Zordon was sacrificed to save the rest of humanity by releasing all of his purified waves and purified all of the villains. Seeing the team at their downfall was just very sad. And now they don't really know what to do. And they don't know how to defeat Robo Rita, and seeing them fighting Rita, albeit this is a robotic version of Rita, and this is not the main Rita. As we all know, the main Rita has been using her powers for good, seen in the events of Mystic Force. And yeah, but I really liked how they did an amazing job with making Zach and Billy one of Ming's mentors, and also teaching her about what is meant to be a ranger, and using those lessons as seen from their previous lessons in Mighty Morphin, and seeing where the last time we saw them was just overall pretty good. And yeah, and the actress who played Ming, I think, did a really amazing job. And one thing I also really liked about it is how they brought back most of the original actors for the most part. Like how we got Steve Cardenas reprising his role as Rocky, and we also have Catherine Sutherland reprising her role as Kat, and We also have the actor who voiced Invader Sim reprising his role as Alpha. Even though this is a different version of Alpha, I think this is Alpha 8. But still, it was nice to have the original voice back. And yeah, if you guys didn't know, he voices Alpha before he did voices for Invader Zim. I really liked how they give us more of the lore of Power Rangers, and they don't try to make it more 90s type style that we have seen many times throughout some of the incarnations, mainly fan films in particular. But here, however, they take it into a more modern type way, and they also expand more of the lore throughout Power Rangers from past seasons. Like, for example, with Adam and Aisha now being ambassadors of SPA, which is getting close to SPD, even though SPD takes place in the not too distant future. And this kind of hints us towards SPD, especially with how they mentioned about the stealth type thing. This basically was a peek and an obvious nod reference to SPD. I also really like the fact of how we see some other previous Rangers from past seasons like Lost Galaxy, Dino Thunder, Beast Morphers, and basically, yeah. One thing that made the special really great is basically both Zach and Billy. They've seemed to have grown and mature ever since the last time we saw them, and seeing them as mentors to Ming, and Zach basically being a trainer and being a mentor slash teacher to Ming was absolutely pretty cool. And having Billy to also be this mentor to Ming as well was also pretty cool. And it's just absolutely awesome. And I think that David Yost and Walter Jones did a really amazing job with taking the roles very seriously, and by far just, well, amazing. The set locations and the designs of the sets are pretty cool, and they overall did a really amazing job with the lore of Power Rangers. But this special isn't perfect by any means. Like always, there are going to be some flaws with this special. Like, for example, the pacing. The pacing just feels like, well, it just feels a bit rushed. And I really wish that we could have gotten much better with the pacing. And I really wish that they could have taken it very slowly instead of rushing through it. I mean, I know Power Rangers had some pacing issues and all that, but still, they could have done a bit more better. And also some plot holes, because there are like a lot of plot holes in this special that I really wish that they could have been answered. But yeah, and I really wish that we could have seen more of Jason and Tommy and Kimberly, but because of some budget reasons and because they couldn't get the original actors back, they had to use original archive voice files onto their morph sequences. And basically they had to add original voices that they have used from previous seasons, and probably some unused recording footage that weren't making it into the special. And yeah, and I really wish that we could have gotten more of the other Ranger teams, like the Dino Thunder team and the Lost Galaxy team, and basically just so many others that I really wish that we could have seen more of. But yeah, and I really wish that we could have gotten more of Rocky and Kat, but hey, they just, yeah. And I really wish that Ming's character could have been a little bit more developed, as I feel like that Ming should have been more. But, you know, I guess, yeah. But about Ming, I overall just really liked her character, and having her to take her mother's place and being the next Yellow Ranger was just overall pretty cool, and I really like how it was executed. Even though I really wish that we could have gotten more of Ming's character, and I really wish that they could have developed more for her character, I still think that they did a really amazing job with it. I also really like seeing both Adam and Aisha again. We haven't seen Aisha ever since the final episodes of Mighty Morphin, and haven't seen Adam ever since Operation Overdrive. And even though that it was only for like a short cameo and only for like a few minutes of screen time, they still give the best performance. And I think that Johnny Youngbosch and Karen Ashley did a really amazing job, and I really like seeing both Johnny Youngbosch and Karen Ashley reprising their roles as their respective characters, and seeing the other Rangers, like having Steve Cardenas and Catherine Sutherland reprising their roles as their respective characters, along with David Yost and Walter Jones, was overall pretty cool. And the actress who played Ming also did a really amazing job with her performance. And Barbara Gordson as Rita was overall pretty menacing. And whenever you see Rita on screen, she basically steals the show. And there were some flaws with how Rita came back, like having the evil waves of Rita and everything like that. It's just so confusing for that. But I really wish that they could have developed more into that. But at least I was kind of relieved that it wasn't the main Rita, because, well, we already seen the main Rita since Mystic Force, and basically, yeah. But overall, yeah. And I'm also glad that I got back into Power Rangers. I'm currently rewatching the seasons, I'm collecting the toys, and I'm currently playing the video games again. And seeing these characters back again feels like revisiting some old friends that you haven't talked to for a very long time. So enjoy this special, and of course, it's just absolutely wonderful, and I highly recommend you to give it a watch. Also, the final scene where we get to see Kimberly singing and the rest of the other original Mighty Morphin Rangers all together was just so emotional and was just pretty sad. And it was also a great tribute to both Jason David Frank and Toei Trang. May they both rest in peace. Last year, we have lost one of the most iconic Rangers and just one of the best characters ever in television and film history. And last year we lost J.C. David Frank, and it was just by far one of the most saddest years that, yeah. And I think that this was a great tribute to J.C. David Frank, although we already know that that his last role is currently on the White Dragon, and we know that the White Dragon will be released in theaters around September of 2023, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see the White Dragon, and I can't wait to see how this concludes to JDF's career. May he rest in peace. And overall, yeah, we're gonna miss you, Jason David Frank. We're gonna miss you.